Okay, shalom. Right, brilliant lesson ahead. Very excited to be teaching this, to be honest. It's something that I came across just recently and that it's linked to so much of my analysis. It's unbelievable. So we're going to be looking at this verse, a prophet like you, the concept of the Moshiach and the Alif Lam Mim. Now, we have previously done some teaching on the Alif Lam Mim. I'm not going to be going over the teaching that I've previously done. However, this is a whole other dimension, and it's related to something very specific and very critical when it comes to understanding the concept of the Moshiach. Okay, let's go and have a look. It's wonderful stuff. So my entire analysis is based on this foundation, Arizal's commentary on Daath Tevunoth, because there's just so much hidden in this particular commentary. It's unbelievable. If we ever got to the end of just this one commentary, we would be so further on in terms of understanding everything that's gone on and what our mission is and the whole concept of the Moshiach. It's all really, really wonderful stuff. But I'd forgotten about this until I read it again, and I was thinking, oh, wow, there you go. This is the concept of the Aleph Lamed Mem from within Judaism. So we've got this, by the way, if you're wanting to get hold of this particular commentary, it's in a book called Apples from the Orchard, and that's part of Chabad publications. Most of the articles within that book, and it's an incredible book, it's quite an expensive book, but most of them are available free online on KabbalahOnline.com. Okay, so just bear that in mind. This particular article, however, is not. It's such a shame because it's one of the best ones in the entire book. It's really, really significant. But anyway, that's for another day. I don't know why they didn't include it. They basically seem to have included every other article but this. But anyway, let's read on. This is alluded to in the verse, I will raise a prophet for you from them. I will raise a prophet like you for them from amongst their brethren. So this is part of a whole commentary. I've just taken a snippet off, and hopefully from this you'll be able to understand where we're going with it. The initials of the words for I will raise for them from amongst spell the word dumb. Okay, so I will raise for them from amongst Akim Lehem Mikerev. The initial letters are Aleph Lamed Mem. So we can see that is very similar to this whole concept of the Aleph Lam Mim to be found within the Quran. If you haven't seen my previous teachings or even come across this concept before, within the Quran, some of the surahs of the Quran begin with these mysterious letters that nobody really knows what they mean, and they are Alif, Lam, Mim. So the Hebrew equivalent to that is Aleph, Lamed, Mem, and I have done teachings to indicate that these really are three aspects to the concept of the Moshiach. Moshe, Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben Dawid, and it's also the concept of Tiferet, Yesod and Malkuth, and also the concept to a certain degree of the Father, the Son and the Holy Spirit, and connected also to concepts like that found within Islam. Okay, that is what I've gone over in previous lessons, however. So I will raise for them from amongst Akim Lehem Mikerev, so they're the initial letters, Aleph, Lamed, Mem. The initial letters are Aleph, Lamed, Mem, which spell Elim, the word for dumb. The passage from which this verse is taken states that the Jewish people will never have to guess that God's will is for them, what God's will is for them. Unlike other nations that need to resort to divination and soothsayers, there will always be prophetic leaders who are mystically understood to be impregnated with Moses' soul. So this is a concept of the moisture of the generation, who will convey God's will to the Jewish people. The full verse quoted here reads, I will raise a prophet like you from amongst their brethren, and I will place my words in his mouth, and I will tell them all that I commanded him. So there is a moisture of the generation. There's also a Moshiach ben Yosef of the generation, Vilna going fulfilled both roles of them. The reason why I mentioned Vilna Gaon is because his commentary on Daath Tevunoth has got to be understood alongside Arizal's commentary for Daath Tevunoth, and he is talking about the whole concept of Moshe pleading he was pleading really that his Torah not descending to Erev Rav influence. His Torah did descend into Erev Rav influence. When Moshe died, the Torah that Moshe had received was never fully conveyed. The moment he died, his Torah was exiled into Erev Rav influence. Okay. And these are really, as according to the Vilna Gaon, they are the Aggadic tales to be found within the Talmud, which constitute a quarter to a third of the entire Talmud. Okay, so we're talking about a massive amount of influence within Judaism, and therefore that influence passed on to Christianity to a certain degree and also to Islam. Okay, so if you're not aware that the Torah is in exile, that the Torah that was given to Moshe is not the one that we understand now, because the one that we understand now is influenced. It's not that it's wrong, it's just the influence of it is corrupted by Erev Rav influence. Okay, so we've got to divest of this. This is our work to do, to reveal the truth, to reveal that Torah that Moshe was privy to, and that he pleaded not descend, but it did descend. Why? Because it's the will of YHWH to cause it to descend. It's for us to reveal the Torah. It's us for us to do the work to reveal the Torah. Okay, so that is where we earn our reward. So there's all kinds of things involved in that. So Daath Tevunoth is a very important commentary to understand, because when Moshe pleaded, and the whole descent of the concept of the Moshiach, the whole concept of the Erev Rav and the Clipper, and you've got to understand all these major concepts, because without understanding them, we're just going to accept the status quo and believe that is, that's the final revelation, and it's not. Everything has been subject to evil influence. Christianity has been subject to Edomite influence. Islam is subject to Yishmaelite influence. Judaism is subject to Erev Rav influence. These are the three heads of the clipot, and if you don't understand that, you're going to be in trouble. Okay, so we've got three letters here that should lead us in some way to revealing the concept of the Moshiach, and then through the concept of the Moshiach we do reveal ultimately the name YHWH. It's all about a revelation of the name YHWH. Everything in the entire of creation is toward that end and for that purpose. Okay, so we've got to always bear that in mind as well. It's not for us to receive our personal reward. It's for YHWH to bestow that he desires to bestow upon us, a revelation of his oneness, which is a revelation of his ultimate perfection and good. Okay, so we've got to always keep that in mind. But then we've got these three letters, and they're very interesting. So let's go and have a look at this. I will raise the prophet like you. There's also got to be some criteria to understand this, like a framework to our understanding. Whenever we're analysing anything like this, major concepts, like the reappearance of the Moshiach, this is what this commentary is all about, the reappearance of Moshe, the final reappearance of Moshe, which would be Moshiach ben Dawid, which is definitely related to the whole revelation of Islam. What we find within Islam, hidden within that is a revelation of Moshiach ben Dawid. This is what I've gone over and over again. Is Islam in its current state a revelation of the Moshiach ben Yosef? Moshiach ben Dawid? No, it's not. It's exiled into Yishmaelite influence, an evil clipper. So it's corrupted on account of that. We've got to divest it of that corruption to reveal the light of Moshiach ben David that's hidden within Islam, the whole concept of Moshiach ben Dawid. And that can't be revealed until it's united completely with the concept of the concept of the name of YHWH as found within Judaism, and the name of YHWH as found within Christianity, and those two have to unite as well. So this is where we've got the unity. We've got to really focus on that as well. So let's go and have a look at a framework that we really need to hang everything on a framework and understand how YHWH has been operating throughout creation and throughout these last 2,000 years of exile specifically, in order to fulfill his will. And there's certain frameworks that are going to help us stay on track and help us to understand and clarify that will of YHWH here, and divest it from the error and the evil influence that we've all been subject to. Okay, so order from chaos, unity from duality. So we're living in a world where there is duality, where there is good and there's evil, which, given the fact that there's only YHWH here, means that YHWH is actually concealed from us. If we're able to perceive evil, that means the truth of the name YHWH is concealed. We've got to understand why. What's the purpose of that? And that's our work, to take that evil and to transform it from the evil and the lies and the fantasy to the truth, and from the doubt to the faith, from darkness to light, from evil to good. It's our work to do that, so that we feel that we have earned the right to have bestowed upon us that YHWH desires to bestow upon us. It's hard work. The concealment is real. Okay. One of the reasons why it's real is because it's actually the name of YHWH that accomplishes that concealment. Okay, so everything, he is the ultimate reality, and if in his reality an aspect of his name is to conceal himself from himself, it's all real, and the rabbis even point this out. Even though we're experiencing something that is ultimately not real, because there's only YHWH here and nothing else beside him, the fact that YHWH himself, through the power of his name, conceals himself, makes it real. And it's likewise the fact that YHWH is within us in exile, suffering to a certain extent. He has limited himself, he has reduced himself, and he has constricted himself to a certain degree to be with us in this exile, and to be where we are, and to suffer what we suffer. And if he's suffering what we are suffering, it's real. Okay, so that's an important thing to consider, because everything is wonderful, and everything is part of a wonderful oneness that's yet to be revealed. This book, Daath Tevunoth, I go on about it a lot. I've got a copy of it here. Right, so this is a brilliant book, Daath Tevunoth, Knowing God's Plan. This is the English. This is the English version of it. Well, it's got both in it. You can see it's a brilliant book. I can't go over it. I've read it a few times. It's a constant source of inspiration for me. In there is so much. Ramchal is a genius, an absolute genius. Rabbi Moshiach. I have so much respect for him. And the Vilna Gaon, who is a total utter genius himself, said that if he'd have had the opportunity, he would have gone and been his disciple. And this is Vilna Gaon speaking, who, to this day, his work is barely discernible because he operated at such a level of genius. So for him to say that he would go and be Ramchal's disciple is no small matter. It's letting us know that Ramchal is a total. If Vilna Gaon means he's the genius of Vilna, so if this utter and absolute genius Vilna Gaon says he wants to be a disciple of Ramchal, we have to understand just how perfect Ramchal's work is. His work is incredible. It really is incredible. So, and what's in that book, Knowing God's Plan, is just. It's just so perfect, we probably can't understand it until we get to final redemption. And we're just talking about Arizal. Arizal was at one level. Rabbi Chaim Moshe Luzzatto is at a whole other level. He is a distillation of the Arizal. You know, he's more refined in his the way that he communicates. It is just so wonderful. Can't speak highly enough of him. This book is tremendous. Daath Tevunoth. So what basically he says, I'm trying to build a framework so that you understand when we come to things like trying to understand the whole purpose of having 3 Abrahamic faiths and the need to unify. What's the basis of that we hang it in? Why is that so? What's the basis? What's the underlying structure upon which that hangs? Okay, so Daath Tevunoth outlines 2 systems of the Hanhagah. That's the way that YHWH manifests his light or his name within creation. Okay, the chain of descent from pure spirituality down to absolute physicality. So there's a chain of descent. Okay, and there's also a chain of ascent. You know, what goes down can go back up. So there's 2 systems, right? There's one, the reward of the system of reward and punishment. Now, this is what all the 3 Abrahamic religions operate on, the system of reward and punishment. The system of you do this, you'll get rewarded, you do this, you get punished. Okay, so this is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You've got to understand that that is not the tree of life. Because in the tree of life, there's no opportunity for sin. It's only eating off the tree of knowledge that there was ever a sin. So the tree of life is a different, consciousness, if you like, of YHWH. So the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is the equivalent to living in a creation where YHWH is concealed. Okay, by his own design, he has used his name to conceal himself from himself. Okay, so it's our work to take that concealment and to reveal YHWH from it, and to transform the good from the bad, etc. I've already talked about that. So there's 2 systems. All the religious systems are based on this system of reward and punishment. It's the carrot in front of the donkey and the stick behind. Okay, so this is one system, and it looks like everything in creation operates this one way. Everything that we see, the whole almost like the whole system of karma. You know, you do that and then something happens to you. The whole cause and effect. It's basically the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It creates duality. Okay, so it creates things like good and bad and light and dark and you know, all the opposites that we've got are created. All the duality is created as a result of this level of consciousness, where on the one thing we perceive something as good, and on the other thing we perceive it as bad, okay, or holy and unholy. And it's our job to separate the 2 within that system and try to do what is good and try to refrain from doing what is bad. I call this system Metatronic, by the way. But that's a whole other lesson. I can't go into that too much. So there's 2 systems. There's the big system, however, this system of reward and punishment, it looks like it's the main operating system. It is not. It's a small cog. It's just a small cog that is that behind which is the real massive system, the hidden system of the system, what is called in the book Knowing God's Plan, Daath Tevunoth, it's called the system of Mazel, or what you might call divine providence. Okay, the hand of divine providence. We're not always aware of it because we're so caught up in the system of reward and punishment. Our mentality is so linked into this idea of reward and punishment and good and bad and holy and unholy, and we are so busy working that system in order to get our own reward in the end. Well, we don't want to go to hell, we want to go to heaven, so we've got to put some things in place to ensure and guarantee our ultimate desire to get to heaven. So this is all in the system of reward and punishment, because in the bigger system we're all being rectified, the entire of humanity. In the smaller system of reward and punishment, the separation between people. So on the one hand you've got Christians who have a certain belief, Jews have a certain belief, and Muslims have a certain belief, and then there's the rest of the world, whatever they're up to, and you view reality from within your particular religion, from you put yourself at the center of the entire universe, and everything gets judged according to you at the center of the universe, reading the book you've been given to interpret reality on the outside and reality within. So we've all got our own books, we've all got our own religion, we've all got our own little clique, and we are trying to interpret reality from that position, from us being at the center of the universe. Okay, so Tree of Life situation, you interpret reality with the name YHWH at the center of the universe, because he is. This is the hidden system. This is the system of divine providence. This is the big cog, but it's hidden. We don't see it. It's not revealed. It's the equivalent of the dry bed. And the Torah and the religion and the religious books are really the water. The water really covers the dry bed. It's not until that dry bed is revealed that you go from a place of exile to redemption. Okay, but it takes a lot of, it takes a big miracle for that dry bed to be revealed. You know, but anyway, that's another story. So there's two systems. There's one, a hidden system, which is the name of YHWH, and it's the system of perfection, and it's the system of oneness. And what do we mean by that? It means that YHWH's plan is to perfect the entire of humanity. Okay, so he's doing that in a very secret, hidden way, throughout all this exile, through all what we suffer on the surface, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, whatever we're suffering, whether we think we've brought that upon ourselves through doing wrong, or whether we've brought good on ourselves from doing good, this is our experience in the system of reward and punishment. Whatever's going on the surface, whatever we are locked into and conscious to, YHWH's got a bigger plan, a better plan, operating in a secret way, but he uses everything that we are experiencing in order to function. In order for that big cog to turn, he uses the little cog, what we're doing within the little cog, to and they're linked. They're all linked. Okay, so the system of perfection, which is YHWH's will to reveal his oneness to all humanity, is linked into the system of reward and punishment. But there will come a time when he no longer operates through the system of reward and punishment. He transcends it. It's because he wants to reveal his sovereignty, and he wants us to understand that his will is not, he determined that his name be revealed through the actions of men. It was his will to set this system of reward and punishment up. So basically, man gets to decide if God's name is revealed in this world through his actions that he has been told are good. And he also has a free choice to conceal the name of YHWH through the actions, words and thoughts that he does that are evil. And this will determine in this world whether God is revealed or God is concealed. This is the system of reward and punishment. In his absolute sovereignty, at some point, he will no longer choose to operate through that. And it's linked to himself revealing himself through the attribute of chesed, loving kindness. And that hidden system will be revealed. And we will know that he is not governed in any way, shape or form by the actions of or thoughts or words of man. That he is absolutely sovereign, that only his will has been executed. He has chosen within creation to link a revelation of his name up to the actions, thoughts and words of man. But at that time, when he decides in his sovereignty that he's no longer going to subject revelation of his name to a system of reward and punishment, he will, through the attribute of chesed, reveal himself anyway. He will reveal himself at what point? When you see that hidden system that we're totally oblivious of, when we reach that critical point where man has been perfected to such a degree that we are able to withstand a revelation of his, or we've done the necessary work. We've simply refined ourselves to a necessary level where we are able to receive a revelation of his oneness. Okay? And it will all happen in God will decide, YHWH will decide when that's happened. And everything in this world is being driven by that underlying reality that we are all conscious of but not conscious of, because we're so hypnotized by the system of reward and punishment. But we are still being driven because we truly are conscious of that hidden reality. We are truly conscious of it, but we might, it might be super consciousness. That's what I'm saying. We might be conscious of it in a way that we're not still conscious of it, not fully awakened to it. But even the things that we do in this world are ultimately driven by the fact that somewhere in our conscious, whether it's super consciousness, is aware of that hidden system and is actually conforming to it to some degree. And it's that system that's driving the system of reward and punishment, and to a certain degree it's that consciousness within us that might be hidden and not revealed and might not be fully awakened that is driving the decisions that we make within the system of reward and punishment as well. Okay, so we are more aware than what we are aware of, if that makes any sense. Even the decisions that we make in the physical world, for good and bad, are ultimately directed by our consciousness of what we know YHWH is desiring to fulfill. There's some part of us that is part of that perfect system, and there's some part of us, whether we're conscious of it or not, that's driving the entire of humanity into the same in the same direction. In the same direction to ultimately bring unity. There's some powerful force that's more powerful than the real driving force behind a lot of the decisions that we make. Like, I'll do this because I want to be good, all right, or the evil that we do and things like that. That's what I'm trying to say. There's two systems. You've got to be very aware of this. You've got to understand how things work. And in order for that big system to find expression in the little system, the system of reward and punishment, there's got to be a hook into it. So the things that happen in the little system can have a massive impact on the big system and vice versa. Okay, so for example, if you give charity to a poor person, it might only be a small amount of money. You might not understand the vastness of what you've accomplished, because it's connected to a massive system of perfection. So something small in this system can have a massive spiritual root and effect. And then likewise, if we did something bad, it's usually got a bigger effect than what we would give credit for. That's why we've got to repent when we do wrong. It's just one of them things. We've got to just understand that there's two systems that are working. If you read the book Daath Tevunoth, you'll get a picture of that. It's all in like chapter 7 of it. It's really, really worth the investment of your time to understand this, because without it, we're a little bit lost. We're caught up in the matrix, thinking that the matrix, the system of reward and punishment, the system of cause and effects, it's all it's about. It isn't. There is something else that's driving up, the real cog that's turning everything within each and every one of us as individual lives, but also the big cog that's turning the entire of humanity and the entire of creation in a certain way to a certain end. We are all conscious of it. We have to be conscious of it, because we're all part of it. Those two systems operate within us. Two camps of Yaakov and the angel of the Lord. So this is another phenomenon that helps us to understand this exile that we're in now. Right, so we got the story of Yaakov when he met Esav. It split his camp in two, because, if Esav can strike one down, one might survive. That's what we're told in Torah. Okay, so we're now entered into what's called Edomite exile, which is basically Esav exile, which is basically evil inclination, which is basically the domination of our flesh over our soul. okay, or the domination of this little system, the system of reward and punishment, over the system of perfection, the system of Mazel, the system that's more connected to our soul, rather than what we do and don't do in physicality. So, at this time, Esav dominates over Yaakov. The body dominates over the soul. The nations dominate over Israel. And this has got to be changed. We've got to go through a refining. But when I'm talking about the two camps of Yaakov and the angel of the Lord, these are phenomena that you've got to understand. You've got to understand these last 2,000 years at least. Because these last 2,000 years are when we descended into Roman dominion, or Western mindset, Western influence dominion. There's two aspects to Edomite exile. There's the 70 nations. There's the 35 that are European or Western, and then there's the 35 that are Yishmaelite. So like Christian or Yishmaelite, Islam, 35 each, according to Ramchal, in his book Secrets of Redemption. So what's that got to do with this then? Okay, so basically, the Torah is a blueprint. We've got to understand that's the microcosmic version of something that YHWH is doing at a macrocosmic level. So Yaakov in the Torah went to meet his brother Esav, and he gave him a present, and he split his camps up, and he said, yes, I'll follow you, Esav, but he didn't. He took a detour into Sukkoth, and because of the little children, to give them time, he said, I'll catch you up. So the sages say that at some point Yaakov and Esav have got to meet in Esav's territory, which is Mount Seir. So that's a blueprint of what we've been experiencing for the last 2,000 years. YHWH split his camp into two houses, two camps, the camp of Yehuda and the camp of Yosef, and both carry within that camp a revelation of the name of YHWH. One, the house of Judah, the name revealed within the letter of the Torah, and within the house of Yosef, which is predominantly the Christians. But there is an evil outer shell to that, so you're gonna get people that are not Christians, not of the house of Israel. Others beside. It was prophesied that would be so. It has happened. So, but there's a core people within Christianity that you would call the lost house of Yosef, or the house of Yosef, and they carry the revelation of the name above the letter of the Torah, at the level of Keter, the level of the 13 attributes as revealed in the book of Micah chapter 7. Okay, so we've got these two camps. Why? Lest one perish, be struck down by Esav. It means it be dominated over by Esav, by Rome, by the nations. That name that they carry be dominated over, so that it is no more of a revelation. Because from one revelation you will get the whole revelation of the name. The name within the letter of the Torah also reveals the name out with the letter of the Torah. The name out with the letter of the Torah also reveals the name within the letter of the Torah. So even though one's dominant, the outer or the inner reality is dominant in one camp to another, from one camp both inner and outer dimensions of the name would be able to be revealed. From within Yehuda, the name that's dominant is that's within the letter of the Torah. Within Christianity, the name that's dominant is the name that's out with the letter of the Torah, above the letter of the Torah, higher levels of mercy. And I've said, why? Why? Because the lost house of Yosef was in a deeper exile than Yehuda. They was subject to filthier levels of impurity and needed more mercy because they had no merit according to the letter of the Torah. They'd been completely separated from the letter of the Torah. Why? For an ultimate revelation of his name. Everything is purposed to reveal his name. So why did they be subject to such levels of evil and impurity ultimately to be the reason why YHWH would have to reveal his name at the higher levels of mercy, because they didn't merit his name to be revealed within the letter of the Torah because they had merited it through obedience to Torah. No, they had been totally cut off. They lived totally depraved lives, and as a consequence needed much higher levels of mercy to be revealed in order for the promises that are within the Tanakh and the Torah to be fulfilled to the house of Yosef. Okay, so we've got two camps. And these are a little bit, and then we've got the angel of the Lord leading the camp during exile. Okay, when the Moshiach is not fully revealed. So when Moshe died, the angel of the Lord took over and led Bnei Israel. And also we find that phenomena within Christianity, and even Yeshua spoke about it. You know, when Yeshua was physically present in reality, there was no need for the angel of the Lord. But once that's gone, then another phenomena takes over. Okay, it's called the angel of the Lord. I can't really go through it all in this lesson. Okay, it's complicated, and there's a lot involved with just this concept of there being two camps. So we can help you understand when YHWH sent us into exile, he split the camp in two, Judaism and Christianity. It's two camps. Okay, and the teachings, the Erev Rav teachings and the Edomite influence teachings within Christianity keep those two camps apart. Okay, they need to be kept apart. We haven't overcome Esav yet. We haven't defeated all the forces of Esav. We haven't subdued all the nations to the side of holy. We haven't subdued all the nations from a place of chaos to shalom, from duality to unity. And when we have accomplished that, and those two houses will be brought together, and there will be one house or one stick, you know, one name, inner and outer united completely as one. The inside of the Torah, the inside the letter of the Torah completely united to that that's above the letter of the Torah. Okay, we haven't yet reached that stage, but it is being revealed, so it's all good. Two aspects to Moshiach, two tails in the mouth of the serpent. Why? Okay, so you've got the left wing and the right wing, Moshiach ben Yosef, Moshiach ben David, but you've also got the body of the bird, Moshe. So these are the two tails. This is the what the Vilna Gaon called the this is to be found in the secret teachings of the Vilna Gaon. I've done teachings on this, so I'm not going to go over this now, but it's the Ouroboros, the picture of the serpent whose tail splits in two, and then this tail is shoved in its mouth. Usually you just get a serpent with a tail in its mouth. This is a very common motif, okay, and symbolism to be found in all kinds of different religions, okay, and sometimes it's linked to the concept of Leviathan in Gnostic teachings, I do believe. But in Judaism, that serpent, the tail splits in two, and both tails circle round and go into the mouth of the serpent. Okay, why? Oh, you've got to understand why. Why was it necessary for there to be these two wings, if you like? And again, it's all pointing to revelation. It's all pointing to revelation. It's pointing to the way that we ultimately will serve YHWH with love and joy. So joy comes as a result of the through the concept of Moshiach ben Yosef. Love comes through the concept of Moshiach ben David. Okay, so it's a big mystery. It's all wonderful. It's all to do with revealing ultimately as well the name YHWH, because everything is. Two Torah scrolls for the king, that's to be found in Sanhedrin 21b. So it's all linked into the concept of the two names of YHWH, the two revelations of the name YHWH, the upper and the lower revelation of the YHWH, and how they are manifest through two separate systems, the inner and outer revelation of the name YHWH, the system of reward and punishment, the system of perfection, the system of Mazal. So it's connected to this. One Torah scrolls of the king stays with the priests and the Levites, and one is supposedly like an amulet to be worn on the right hand of the king at all times, to go in and out with him. Obviously it can't go. It mentions this in Sanhedrin 21b. So if you were interested in the concept of the two Torah scrolls for the king, you can go find it there. It's very, very interesting. I plan on doing an analysis on that at some point. 2 systems, 2 camps, 2 angels, 2 revelations of the name YHWH, the inner and outer reality, upper lower aspects, dualism through which unity is revealed, one opposite the other, and the middle path of truth. So it's really to create, there's also like a tension, isn't there, between those two, and that tension really can create an ultimate middle path, the middle path of truth, the one opposite the other. There's something in that. I talk about that all the time anyway. And so you've got to also understand Islam is birthed from Judaism and Christianity. So the name is only revealed within Judaism and Christianity. Judaism reveals the name of YHWH. Christianity reveals the name of YHWH. Islam doesn't. Why? Because Islam is not the light. The light is Israel, the children of Israel. And that was given to them. They are the light. They are Israel. Islam represents the nations. Okay, so Islam represents the vessel. Islam represents the body that must be refined to be able to contain this true light, the light found within Judaism and the light found in Christianity, but the light fully divested from all the evil influence and all the corruption that has clothed it in filthy rags. Okay, during Edomite exile, everything's been done in a covert way. Okay, so I've really gone on a lot longer than I wanted to do with this. I honestly thought 5 minutes and that would be it, but there's a lot involved, and but like I say, we can't understand anything until we understand this. I'm just going to go show you, because I really want people to understand this concept, the 2 names of YHWH, 2 revelations of the name of YHWH. It's very critical, because all the error is based on not understanding the 2 ways in which YHWH reveals his name. One through the system of reward and punishment, and one through the system of perfection. The hidden system and the revealed system. And because we don't understand the relationship between those 2 systems and the will of YHWH and why these 2 systems exist to give us free choice temporarily until we are fully perfected, we get a lot confused, and a lot of erroneous doctrine has come out of that confusion and that conflict. A lot of Gnostic beliefs, a lot of confusion regarding the unity of God, a lot of confusion regarding what is the oneness of God? People don't even know. If you were to ask most people what is the oneness that YHWH desires to bestow upon us, to reveal to us, a lot of people wouldn't even be able to tell you. They would be talking in terms of the unity of God. The oneness is something completely different. Okay, oneness is that there's only him and nothing else beside him. He's the only sovereign power. There is nothing but him. Okay, so oneness and unity of being is different from that. You've got to understand. And a lot of erroneous teaching has come out in Islam, in Christianity and Judaism that creates a lot of separation and tension, because you've got on the one hand Christians saying Jesus is God, and then you've got other problems within Judaism as a result of Metatron, and then you've got a lack of understanding within Islam, who are looking back at Christianity that's partly in error, and Judaism that's partly in error, and concluding in error themselves, because they don't thoroughly understand what these 2 people, what these 2 religions are actually saying, and because they don't have complete understanding about what they're saying and the truth that's hidden in that lie, then they conclude in error themselves. So it's it's because they are perceiving an error, they're concluding in an error, and it's just trying to undress and unpack everything to reveal that there's only YHWH with nothing else beside him, and to reveal that hidden truth that's hidden in all things. Because on the one hand, the criticisms that you find regarding in Islam regarding Judaism and Christianity are very great criticisms, but they're just slightly off target, because they don't perceive the truth of they don't perceive the truth to be found within the outer lie or corruption. So you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater is what I'm saying. You know, I hope I've made myself clear. What am I trying to say? Islam perceives error within Christianity and Judaism. Judaism perceives error within Christianity and Islam. Christianity perceives error within Judaism and Islam. We're all looking at each other's error. But what we don't always do is see the truth hidden in that outer error. So we don't divest what is revealed. So we don't divest some of the teachings that conflict with what we believe ourselves. We don't divest them. We just simply conclude that they're in error. So there's never going to be a unity as long as we're just all concluding that they've got it wrong, they've got it wrong, they've got it wrong. We need to be mature and start to separate the truth from the lie and unite the truth and disregard the lie. We're all being subject to lies. We've got to be mature enough to recognise that, divest from our own lies, and then start to perceive the truth hidden in other people's lies. That will bring unity, I am sure. Right, so let's go and have a look at this verse then, because it's beautiful. I've gone on a little bit too long regarding what I've just done, so I don't think I'll do this whole lesson now, but let's just go through some gematria because it's absolutely wonderful. It says, I will set up a prophet for them from among their brothers like you, and I will put my words into his mouth, and it will speak to them all that I commanded him. Deuteronomy 18:18. So we've got this then. These are the three letters, Alif, Lamed, Mim, that stands for Moshe, Moshiach ben Yosef, Moshiach ben David. I will set up for them from amongst. So we've got all them gematria. This is the regular, the ordinal. This is the regular and ordinal added together. This is the mispagadol. This is the mispagadol ordinal. And that's them added together. Okay. So that's the, when it's filled, each letter as it sounds, 1745. And that's the square ordinal, each letter squared according to its ordinal position in the alphabet. So straight away we've got this massive connection. This goes back to what I just said. All these major religions are really consciousness of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because you've got to do this to be good and don't refrain from this as you be bad. So in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it's got a regular and ordinal that add together to 1084, very significant by the way. And then it's got a mispagadol and a mispagadol ordinal that come to 1903, exactly the same as this square ordinal. I will set up for them from amongst. So what's that telling us? It's telling us that the entire concept of the Moshiach and this entire concept of the intermediary is also linked to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because as much, but we without that we have no tree of life. Okay, without the darkness we have no light. Without the evil we've no good. So without the lie we've no truth. This is what we've got to work with. We've got the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So we've got these three religions with these three concepts of Moshiach to be found within them, and we all need to unite as one. Okay, but this is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil that both reveals and conceals the name of YHWH, because he willed it to be that way, to give us free choice, so that our words, actions and thoughts would ultimately bring about a revelation of that perfection of the name YHWH. But it's all intermediary, isn't it? It's a temporary state. We're waiting to get to the state where we've got tree of life consciousness, that we are aware that there's only YHWH, nothing else beside him, and nothing conceals him. Even the evil, we have absolute faith that it's only YHWH in disguise. There's something ultimately good about absolutely everything. There has to be, because there's only YHWH, and YHWH is only good. No evil in him whatsoever. So if he's the only reality, there is truly no evil. However, going back to what I said, the fact that we have suffered evil is real. Why? Because he that is only good is in it suffering with us, and he willed it, and everything that he does is ultimately good. Okay, so, but we're not at the place where it's fully revealed, so we're still suffering, because we can't automatically reach that place of perfect faith where, when we're suffering, we're saying, this too will be for good, Gamzula Tova. Some people have reached that place, not everybody is, so we suffer something bad, we feel bad. We feel like God is hiding from us, and we're in a place of disfavour, and we've got to do something in order to gain his favour and win his love. Can we prevent God from loving us? No. Can't be done. Can we change God by doing good deeds? No. Our deeds don't affect God whatsoever. He changes not. But in the system of reward and punishment, it looks like he does. But it doesn't. It's just a matter of his revelation is more revealed or more concealed. We've got to be able to distinguish between YHWH and a revelation of him and a concealment of him. This is tree of knowledge of good and evil. It's also Yosef ben Yaakov, Yosef the son of Yaakov. The Mispah Gadol and the Mispah Gadol ordinal comes to 1903, so we can see there's a big connection. Moshiach ben Yosef is the biggest concept of Moshiach. It's also when we're talking about the system of perfection, and we're talking about specifically our own ability to be conscious or super conscious of this system and its operations. And really, although it looks like we're making decisions based on a reward and punishment basis, based on our own free will, really there's something deeper within us connected to that deeper hidden system that's making the decisions for us. Because we're actually a lot smarter than what we think, but we're not conscious of it always. We're blinded by the hypnotising effect of the system of reward and punishment. Yet this hidden system really is the whole concept of Moshiach ben Yosef. It's very much connected to the whole concept of Moshiach ben Yosef. He is the secret hidden meaning of the entire Torah. So he's the secret way that YHWH has been operating in creation in order to bring humanity to that place of ultimate perfection. Okay, so you could use, instead of saying the system of reward and punishment, the system of mazel or the system of perfection, you could easily use another term for that. You could easily use the system of Moshiach ben Yosef, because it amounts to the same thing. Okay, where do we get this super consciousness from? We get that from the level of our soul that is equivalent to the level of Moshiach ben Yosef, what's called the Yechidah, what's called the highest level of soul, that aspect of Adam's soul that he hadn't yet attained before he fell in the Garden of Eden. So it's that aspect to us that still maintains perfection. So there's certain aspects of us that are connected to Adam who fell. And then there's a certain aspect to who we are that we're not conscious of that's connected to that upper light that is called the soul of Moshiach ben Yosef, that's equivalent to the Yechidah, that perfection that remained perfect, that didn't fall when Adam fell, when he ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And some part of us is still connected to that. And this likewise for all humanity. And it's that connection to that upper light, that upper perfection that incarnated in the soul, in the body of Yeshua, that then once he died, you've got to understand, Yeshua was an incarnation of that upper light. He was the most perfect human being ever, simply because his soul level came from that same place. That it came from a place of perfection. That's why he says he's without sin. It really means that his soul was part of that perfect light. It doesn't incarnate within our lives necessarily, but we are connected to it. It stays outside us. It's one of the levels of soul that is outside us. You know, sometimes you've got these icons where you've got this aura painted around them. It would be somewhere like that. There's the near surrounding light, which is the Chaya, the soul level of Moshiach ben David. But then there's the far surrounding light, which is the Yechidah. So we're talking about something that's it's not incarnate within us necessarily, but we are still attached to it, and it's still driving us and influencing us somewhere. That perfection is still influencing us somewhere. And most of us, possibly, when we are connecting to that upper light that is part of our own soul, we would probably call that God. Okay, we would probably call that experience God, because it is one with God. The Yechidah is one with God. There's absolutely no separation between the Yechidah and the name of YHWH, because at that level of Keter, it's pure godliness. There's no separation between lights and vessel. So that's why people call Jesus God, because Jesus is a revelation of that upper light, that upper perfection. So when people have this concept of this perfection revealed to them or awakened within them, they call that God, and they're not far wrong, because there is no separation at that level. It's part of that perfection, and that's where we want into, it's something we connect to super consciously that's also driving us forward. So it's all connected in it. Yosef, Ben Yaakov, it's connected to this. Moshiach is a means to an end. It's bringing us back into a place of final redemption. The final redemption is to experience life at the level of Moshiach ben David. So we're not going to experience life like totally nullified to godliness, which is the level of Moshiach ben Yosef. That's why Yeshua died, and that's why it's a lot about sacrifice. Okay, Moshiach ben David is not at that level. It's somewhere in between. It's the near surrounding light. So his level is higher. So they maintain some independence from godliness at that level, but it's still very, very high level of godliness. It's just not totally and utterly nullified to the godliness completely. You've not completely died to yourself. That's what I'm trying to say. However, the throne upon which King David sits is the throne of Moshiach ben David. So what can we derive from that? You see, that's driving us forward really. That's causing us to want to perfect ourselves and wanting us to. There's something driving us. There's something we're connected to. We're connected to that upper light. All humanity is connected to that upper light together. It's the one thing that unites us all. Why? Because it was the one aspect of the whole of humanity that didn't fall and get smashed into a million billion pieces. The fall of Adam's like Humpty Dumpty. He had a great fall, and all the king's men horses on, all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. We're struggling to rebuild Adam, the fallen part of Adam. We're all doing it in our all individual little lives, but we're all like a tiny shard of a broken whole that fell. But when it comes to the level of Yechidah, it never fell and never shattered. We're all still perfectly united as one. And we're all connected to that, and that oneness is really driving us forward. Even though everything in the world appears to the contrary, it's still happening that way. It should give us a lot of hope. We do know these things. Sometimes that light shines through. When moments of self-sacrifice, these heroes and stuff, sometimes we see it for ourselves. We see it in the life of Yeshua. We see it in the whole story of Yeshua. We see it a lot from within Christianity, because they're the people to which this level of the name was revealed most. They carry that torch, and they have done for 2,000 years. And although it's got dressed up in all kinds of idol worship, the light that is within that lie is that light that I'm talking about. It's the light of Moshiach ben Yosef, that level of Yechidah. And it's wonderful stuff. The Jewish people carry the light of Moshe, which is the Neshama. And King David, the Chaya, is yet to be revealed, but it's really that soul level is most found and associated with Islam, because it's the unity of those two sticks together as one. It's the super spiritual aspect of Moshiach ben Yosef, the Christians. It's all spiritual, everything's super spiritual. And then you've got the Jewish people, where everything is to do with mitzvahs and doing, and it's very physical in a lot of ways. Physical mitzvahs, the works, okay, as opposed to faith. So Islam is a marriage really between those. It's very spiritual. Like you've got like all the concept to be found within Sufism, and then but it's also there is a lot more laws than what you find within Christianity. It's parallels a lot of the laws found within Judaism to a large degree, but not to the same legalistic degree as what you find within Judaism. So there's a balance, more of a balance within Islam, and that's what Moshiach ben Dawid is about. It's a balance from them super spiritual levels where we're completely nullified to godliness, to where our entire life is about what we do when we do it, according to books and books and books and books and books and books of halakha. I mean, literally endless things that we could do, give and endless times to observe, and it's a balance between that. So here we've got in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we've got Moshiach ben Dawid. Okay, he's the only opposite this. As far as I'm concerned, he's also connected to it in some way. He's when Eve perceived the tree, and she said, Tahawehu, it is desirable, in her eyes and things like that. That phrase Tahawehu comes to 434, which is 434 is Moshiach ben Dawid, Moshiach ben David, rectified, I do believe. So no, it doesn't. It comes to 224, which is Moshiach ben Dawid, when David is spelled ordinarily Daleth Vav Daleth. That's it. 424. So what did she perceive when she was looking at the tree of the knowledge of good? She perceived Moshiach ben Dawid, and she was right to, because the ultimate end of all our experience of eating from the tree of the knowledge, of being shattered and then going back to be rebuilt, is to take humanity to that place where we're all at the level of Moshiach ben Dawid, which is the level of Chaya, the mother of all living, the rectified divine female. Okay, which is the level of Chaya. And Chaya is the name given to Eve when she's rectified. She's called Chava, Eve, in her unrectified state, but rectified she becomes Chaya, Chaya, which is the soul level of Moshiach ben Dawid. There's so many things you can read into it. It's all wonderful. Tekufat, equinox, turn cycle season, comes to 1084. There's a lot of significance in that. We're in a time frame for all this revelation. It doesn't just happen. One of the ways YHWH has restricted himself and experiences reality with us is through the time. YHWH hides in time. Why? Because he's infinite and eternal. He's not subject to time whatsoever, but he subjects himself to time just as we are subjected to time. Okay, there's a reason for that. There's also some really powerful concepts regarding this whole concept of the Tekufat and equinox and stuff like that. It comes to 1084 and it's related to Moshiach ben Dawid and the whole concept of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So in a way, time is related to the concept of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We've got certain times for doing things, and when we do things at certain times, it's good, and if we don't do those things at certain times, it's not bad. A lot of the mitzvahs are time related, for example. And then this is the name Yeshu filled when the nun is missing a vav, i.e. missing the truth. But just as we say, Moshiach ben Dawid sits upon the throne of Yeshua, who is Moshiach ben Yosef. We can see there's a connection between Moshiach ben Dawid rectified, containing the Yud of Yosef, and Yeshu, which is the name that is derogatorily given to Moshiach ben Yosef in exile. Yeshua, his name is erased and it's called Yeshu. But this is when, in the Torah, the word Ma'orah, which is connected to the concept of the luminaries, is missing two vowels. It's for us to reveal the truth. Okay? It's our work to reveal that truth, to work and toil with these systems that hide and conceal, that hide and reveal the name YHWH, that give us free choice. Well, this is good if we do this. It's toiling through that system to reveal the truth hidden in it. It's toiling with these religions that we've got to reveal the truth hidden in them. Okay, it's our work to reveal the truth. The what truth? I said this a lot, Od Yosef Chai. And through that truth, that there's only YHWH and nothing else beside him. Because if we reveal the truth, Od Yosef Chai, through that truth, we see that there's only YHWH and nothing else beside him. So it's a means to an end. Sambatyon River. This is the river that the lost house of Yosef crosses and unites again with Yehuda. 1084. It's the power of Moshiach ben David that does it. There's a season and a time for that to occur. Yeshua is the driving force. He is the power. You see what I mean when a driving force, when we're really linked superconsciously to that upper light, that Yehuda, that perfection, and it's driving us forward. It'll get us across that river. I've talked about that before. There's all kinds of things you could say about that. Also, Sambatyon River, Sambatyon Nahar. So this is a coded message to basically say we've got to cross over a particular river. Again, it's linked to Moshiach ben David because it's 432, but if we add 2 Kalel for each word, it's 224, which is Moshiach ben David. But also the Mispar Gadol is 1082, and if we add 2 to that, we go to 1084, which again is Moshiach ben David. So the Sambatyon River is really when we attain that level of Chaya, but we don't attain the level of Chaya without first connecting to that upper level, that level of Moshiach ben Yosef, and that driving us forward to a place of perfection. And I've talked about how it can be linked to the 3 forefathers, Avraham, Yitzhak and Yaakov. We've got to really connect to the power of Avraham, Yitzhak and Yaakov. And that can also mean connecting to the 3 spheres of Chesed, Avraham, Gevurah, Yitzhak, and Tifereth, which is Yaakov. And it's also, again, the 2 extremes and the middle path of truth. So the 2 ways in which YHWH chooses to reveal himself, i.e. through the system of reward and punishment, through Gevurah, or through the attribute of Chesed, loving kindness. But somehow, even so, it will ultimately result in that middle path of truth. King David is the middle path of truth, in a way, because he is in between the absolute upper perfection of Moshiach ben Yosef and then the level of Moshe, which is the level of the Nashama, that is within the body, just as the name revealed within the letter of the Torah. So he's in between the upper light and the 13 attributes of mercy that reveal the name at the level of Keter, the level of Yehuda, and the 13 attributes of mercy that are revealed to Moshe in the cleft of the rock within the letter of the Torah. He is a balance between them both. We can see that balance in Islam. It's just there for all to see, if you want to see it. Shenatayim Yomim, 2 full years. This refers to the 2 years that Yosef is in the prison extra for saying the words, "Take me out of here and remember me," to Pharaoh. Okay. These parallel the 2,000 years of Edomite exile that we are all subject to in order to correct our faith. Okay, so the Mispar Gadol of that is 2,168, which is 2 times 1,084. Okay, so we've talked about angels, didn't we, of the Lord? The 2 camps. We know from what happened when there was one camp of Israel came out of Egypt, there was an angel of the Lord guiding that camp for a while until Moshe said, no, unless you go with us. And then it was Moshe who was who guided the camp until Joshua, until he died, and then Joshua took over, and then the angel of the Lord came back. You can read about that within the sages' writings. Okay, I'm not going to go over that now. I have gone over it in the past. So you got two angels. As far as I'm aware, the angel of the Lord is Metatron. So there's two ways of spelling Metatron. And it would appear, because there's now two camps, not just one camp of Israel. The camp got split into two. So you've got two aspects of the angel of the Lord within the two camps. You've got Metatron, which is likened to, like you've got Metatron Sa Ha'olam, Metatron, the Prince of the World, and the initial letter spell Moshe. Okay? But you've also got this higher level of Metatron. Okay? A higher level of Metatron. And this is called the Lesser Yahweh. So this is called the YHWH as revealed, like what you could liken it to, as revealed within the letter of the Torah, or as revealed within the system of reward and punishment. It's linked to the 6 days of work. So we know that the Jewish people are very, very busy working and refining all the physical reality to perfect it. Okay, this is what the mitzvahs accomplish. Metatron, and Arizal says Metatron is 6 letters, and they refer to the 6 supernal days. So the 6,000 years, which this time frame, this tekufa, this cycle that YHWH has planned in order to refine the whole of humanity and to get us back up to a place in Gan Eden before the fall and even higher. So Metatron 6 days. Metatron has got an additional Yud, it's 7 days, and this is a higher, classed as a higher revelation of the name YHWH. So that can link back to the inner, the lower name, the upper name, the inner name, the outer name, the two names of YHWH with the ways that they are revealed. One through the system of reward and punishment that's more linked to Moshe, more linked to the house of Judah, and then one revealed above the letter of the Torah, more linked to the house of Yosef, Christianity, Judaism and Christianity. Metatron, if Arizal doesn't say it, but Metatron's got 7 letters. So we can assume if Metatron with 6 letters is the 6 supernal days, Metatron is the 7th day, okay, which is then linked a lot to Yeshua, who says, I am the Lord of the Shabbat. Okay, so there's a connection there. But then you've got this whole other aspect to because you've got 3 main Abrahamic religions. You've got the 2 camps, Metatron and Metatron. Simply, both of them will be guided by the angel of the Lord. So that's why they are like that. But then you've got another phenomenon that's not part of the camp of Israel. That's part of the nations that must be a vessel that must be refined from chaos to shalom in order to fit with this united light of the name YHWH. This represents the light, this represents the vessel, or the kingdom, or King David, okay, the divine feminine. These are the masculine. This is represented the name YHWH. This is the vessel that fills with that light. It's connected to Islam in a lot of ways, definitely connected to Moshiach ben Dawid. How do we know? Because the 496 there, which is still up here as well, to Kufa, the 992 is 2 times 496. 496 is Malkuth, kingdom. It's all obviously Leviathan, the Leviathan, and it's also the 3 words to describe the luminary that is the moon, like Ameor, Akatan, Alayla, which is linked to King David, whose kingdom is celebrated when the moon reappears every month. Okay, so it's connected to the moon, it's connected to the kingdom, it's connected to Malkuth, which we're waiting for the kingdom to be established on earth as it is in heaven, and this will all be done under King David. So we can see how Leviathan links to King David, which really King David is the one that unites all humanity together. And he unites these two together so that this light then fits into the vessels of shalom that the nations have been preparing. And it's predominantly Islam that's preparing the nations, because it says in Christianity, I've come only for the lost house of Israel, and there's a lot of truth in that, whereas Islam is for all peoples. In Islam you find all peoples have converted to Islam over time. So that's that. And this is the it's really like the Alif, isn't it? The letter Alif, the upper yod, the vav, and the lower yod of the letter Alif, which represents Aluf or Shal Alam, master of the universe. Yod here, wow, here, essentially. So we can see here, if we add up the regular, the ordinal, and the square ordinal, it comes to 4,336, which is 4 times 1,084. I've gone through these numbers before. If now I have found favour in your eyes, okay, so 1,084, this is to do with Noah, and all humanity is connected back to Noah. His 3 sons, Noah and his 3 sons, so there's a connection there again. And all kinds of other things as well. Enod Milvador, there is nothing beside him. This is the ultimate place where we're attaining. This can only be attained. Our consciousness that there's only Yod HaWH and nothing beside him is the consciousness of King David. Why? Because the ordinal is 82, and 82 is Moshiach ben Dawid, the ordinal of Moshiach ben Dawid, when it's spelt normally, not with the additional Yod like what we've got up here. That would be 92. But if we add the regular gematria and the ordinal gematria, the regular gematria and the mispagadol together here, we get 1,084, which is exactly the same as Moshiach ben Dawid. So that's the level of consciousness that we want to attain, isn't it? And then finally, how do we attain that? When we understand that he is clean. The leper that is Moshiach ben Yosef is clean. It's very difficult from a Torah perspective to understand the concept of Moshiach ben Yosef when he's garbed in the filthy rags of Christianity as being clean, but we will ultimately attain that level where we're able to declare that he is clean. Okay, I've just brought this off. I'm just going to knock myself off this so that I don't obscure. Nope, I've done it wrong. Okay, so I've just knocked myself off now. I just wanted to bring up this. This is something that you can search on Facebook. Going back to that concept of the 2 names, the upper and the lower name, or the inner and the outer name of Yod HaWH. If you go to this particular Rabbi Yossi Denberg, this is a teaching that he did. About 4 minutes from the end of this particular teaching, he starts to talk about the 2 names. It's quite, if you're not used to Hebrew, you might have to listen to it a few times, because he speaks in Hebrew and then in English, okay, and his accent is quite thick and difficult to understand, so you might have to listen to it a few times to pick up the gist of what he's saying. And then he goes over this. Oh no, I might have just made a mistake there. Just wait a minute. Yeah, it's this one here. This is the Ma'amar, where he's about 4 minutes from the end. He starts talking about the name of Yod HaWH, the 2 names of Yod HaWH, and then he continues in this teaching here, which is absolutely brilliant, a really, really good teaching. And then he goes on and concludes this concept of the 2 Yod HaWHs, what they actually are. And bearing in mind, it links up to that system that I told you, the system of reward and punishment within creation, that we're most conscious of, and then this other upper, or you could even say inner, the more submerged reality that is driving us all forward. Which is essentially both the names YHWH, but they're being revealed to us in different ways. One with some revelation and concealment, and another with pure revelation. And the mission, what we've got down here, is to draw more and more and more of that light into this reality. Okay, so he goes on about it. It's quite interesting. It's obviously from a purely Jewish perspective, but it is interesting all the same. Okay, I'm just wanting to show you this quickly. I'd intended in this lesson to go through all these slides from 41. That's what I've just had to copy this in here because I'm not going to go any further. So in the next lessons, I would like you to subscribe and share, because we've got so much wonderful gematria and so many wonderful concepts to go through. I just simply talk too much about that system, but without having a clear understanding, and it's even difficult for me to grasp, because there's so many parts of the jigsaw puzzle that you've got to start to put together to try and understand where we're going and what's happened and why. You've got to knit a lot together. So basically, I'm going to end it there. I just would like you to subscribe if you've not subscribed, and I'd also like you to share if you could, and I thank you for that. Shalom.